Hello everyone, I am the Black Dragon Emperor, brand new YouTuber. I am mostly going to be What If YouTuber, and I was inspired by KïDD and some other anime What If YouTubers, and since I'm brand new I wanted to say a few things before I started. What if Deku was a machine, my very first What If, and it's, well, for you to get to know me a little. I am, well... Actually, no, I'll skip that for when I reach a certain amount of subscribers. Why not? Well, you don't have to, but likes and all that, I appreciate it. Well, what if Deku was a machine? I came up with this not too long ago, actually. A few videos ago. Or a few days ago, at least. And this was something that just popped into my mind suddenly. And what if Deku was a machine? How this will orchestrate is Deku will not be human or will not have a quirk in any way, shape or form. How this will work is Deku will be created. And I will now start. Cause sorry if this is so weird. First video. But okay. So Sakashi, as I'm naming Deku's father, and Inko Midoriya have been married for now 15 years. And they wished to have a child. They wanted to have a kid, but what happened was Inko was unable to be pregnant, was unable to have a kid, and so Takashi said to her, "I promise you, Inko, I will find a way for us to have a kid. I promise." And that promise was definitely true. He did that non-stop. He thought, he worked, he researched. And when he went to work overseas, what he did was, with his friends and with his workmates, he began working on a learning computer. If you've ever watched Terminator, you sort of know how it works. But no, it'll not have two modes. It will not attempt to destroy all of humanity. And so, what it will do is... as I said, it'll be a learning computer. This learning computer will be able to function just like a human brain would, but it does need a personality matrix, and it took them 4 years to perfect the learning systems itself. And they thought to themselves, in what way would their creation react? What sort of personality would he have? Who would he be? And they came to the conclusion that he was going to be shy, but very kind and nurturing, but also having the heart of a lion, immense courage to protect others and protect those that cannot protect themselves, and to fight non-stop until the end. That was the personality that they wanted him to have. And so they worked on it. They studied psychology. They studied everything they could to create something like so human. And with that, and after a while, 2 more years, they finally perfected a personality matrix. And they also completed the endoskeleton in that time. So they opened up the cranium, the skull, and placed both inside. One in the very middle of the skull had a little spherical hole in it, and that is where they placed the CPU. And the personality matrix was in a slot right underneath it, right below the CPU slot, so to say. And they then got stumped on something. No metal would be able to sustain anything that villains can use. They would easily trump him. They would destroy Deku. They didn't want to lose him. They didn't want him to die. And so, them being partners with Momo's company, bought all of these metals and everything while yet again researching. And what they researched was smithing. They researched smithing and all sorts of things to involve in metals. And this allowed them to create an artificial metal. Pluridium, they called it, and shaped it into a new, brand new exoskeleton. Alright, sorry about that little cutout there. Something happened. My recording stopped. But what they did was they made a new exoskeleton, molding it into what we basically see in the picture. They molded it into this amazing piece of art, this machine that looked so human yet so mechanical. It had perfect human pieces, so to say. Its proportion was perfectly human in the arms and everything else. How a human would look besides from the head and most of the external looks. And Deku, after being made, they brought Inko to the company, which was all the way in Texas, Houston. Which when she arrived, she saw this machine laying on a bench with all these tools around it. And when she asked what it was, Takashi said, "Please, wait. We need to show you something amazing. This right here, this will be our son, Inko." And she was surprised by this, so surprised that her husband actually did this for her, that she began crying. And he hugged her, and then went and activated this machine. And when it began speaking, "Systems online. Initializing. System check. Weaponry systems. Online. Green. Movement systems. Online. Green. Initializing boot up sequence. Boot up complete." And it then sat up, looking around the room, looking at the people who created it, but then looking to Takashi and his mother and his wife, Inko, and said, his audio systems kicking in, he said, "Mother? Father?" And he got up. He sat up, staring at he sat up straighter, looking at his so-called parents. And Takashi said, "Yes, my boy. I am your son. I am your father." Sorry about that. I've got a bit of a cold, so my head's not working as great. And his mother, still in tears, Inko, she got up. She walked towards him and hugged him. Izuku, as they called him, confused, hugged her back, which then Takashi joined in as well. And he said, "Now, let's go home, Izuku. Let's go home and start a new life." And the machine nodded. Izuku nodded. And they let go of him. As he then got up, his leg servos whirred, adjusting to the sudden weight placed onto them. But they quickly adapted. Very, very quickly adapted. And which it then went to follow them out. And he turned around, looking at the people who created him, and waved. Waved goodbye like a normal child. And they all smiled, watching as Takashi, Inko, and the machine they created left the labs. And they went back to Japan. And with the sludge villain, he doesn't go to school or anything like that. He homeschools himself. He reads up, he studies, he experiments on things that he can do. He gets better and better and better. Which he then goes to... Then one day, after going to the library to get some more books, goes under the same bridge that Izuku did in the anime. And as his HUD lit up, he quickly jumped. "Warning! Hostile detected!" He leaped out of the way as the sludge villain came out. "Ha! Now that's a cool quirk. I'll be taking your body, thanks." And he then slithered towards Deku at amazing speeds. And Deku, having it wrapped around him, reacted. Reacting as the sludge villain wrapped around him, he sealed his body, stopping the sludge villain from entering it and causing any internal damage. And as All Might arrived there, yelling, "I am here!" Izuku's power core began to glow as it released a burst of energy that fried the sludge villain, breaking him off of him. And All Might, seeing this, stood there in shock, wondering, what is that boy's quirk? That was amazing. And he went up to Deku, looking at him and asking him, "You're quite tall for the young one. What is your quirk, may I ask?" And Izuku looked at him, tilting his head. "Quirk? What is a quirk? Is it an ability that humankind has?" And All Might was taken aback by this. Humankind? And he examined Deku further, looking him up and down as his body unsealed. Are you a machine?" "Yes, my name is Izuku Midoriya." "Izuku? Well, my boy, do you know what a quirk is?" "Yes, a quirk is a power that 80% of humankind has. However, I am one of the 20% of the world that does not have a superpower. The reason for that is that I am a machine. I am an artificial being, created by Takashi Midoriya." And All Might was having trouble processing this. But Deku then looked down at the remains of the sludge villain. "Oh, I'm sorry. Were you looking for it?" And All Might shook his head. "Oh, yes. Thank you." He thanked Deku as, well, Izuku. He doesn't have the name Deku in this timeline. Not just yet. And Deku then went and leaned down, grabbing a plastic bottle that was littered all along the ground, and put the remains of the sludge villain inside of it. The sludge villain was still alive, not killed, but was knocked out, completely unconscious. And he put the lid on, giving it to All Might. "I thank you for protecting the people. And could you please perhaps try and make people better? Seeing people become villains and do such bad things in this beautiful world gives me a heartache." And All Might thought for a second. A heartache? Can it feel emotion? And Deku then turned around. "Thank you for doing such a great job of protecting people. See you, All Might." And Deku then grabbed his books, picking them up and walking back home. And All Might, turning around, realizing his time was almost up, jumped off, landing on a building, but losing the sludge villain. And he looked for it as he went down the staircase of the building. He was shocked. He was scared. He was confused at the fact that did he drop it? Did he drop it while he was flying? While he was jumping? While he was leaping to another building? And then an explosion went off, going off loudly as it boomed throughout the streets. He then ran to where all the commotion was, seeing the sludge villain right there with the boy in its grasp. It wasn't Izuku, but Bakugo. And him realizing that he didn't have time, he ran out of time, he can't help him. He can't. And Deku was walking past at this time, and heard it happen, and as he went to check, he dropped his books. His optics going red. "Warning! Humankind under fatal threat. Protocol 2. Protect." And he then leaped over the group of people, landing between the heroes, The heroes, attempting to stop him, said, "Hey, what are you doing?" But with no response, Deku blitzed, the sound barrier shattering as he ran. And he then grabbed onto Bakugo, throwing his fists through the sludge villain's slime. And he went to struggle, his servos wearing as he managed to tear Bakugo out. And he turned his back on the sludge villain as it went to grab him. And as he let go of Bakugo, pushing him away, the sludge villain threw him into a wall. But with Deku's armor, nothing happened. And he grabbed the sludge villain's tentacle, the tentacle that grabbed him, and he put all the heat into his hand. Warning, overheat detected. His system sounded, flashing in his optics. "I don't care," and he continued to begin turning this tentacle into turning it into just nothing but air, evaporating it. "I won't let you harm people. You're a villain, and I don't think you can be saved after what you just tried to do there." And after the sludge villain let go of him, yelling in pain, Deku put his arm out. Weapon systems activated. His arm splitting in half, so does his hand as it then flips back, a cannon appearing and coming out of his hand, and it whirred. A railgun came out of his arm. Charge 20, 25, 40, 50, 65, 75, 85, 95, 99%, 100% charge. Opening fire. A loud blast sounded through the air as a massive hole appeared in the sludge villain, evaporating most of its body as it split in half, splashing along the ground. Deku's arm, the railgun on his arm, then smoked. And as it smoked, the energy faded quickly from it, cooling down, and eventually, his arm returned to normal, and he looked at Bakugo, going on his knee. "Are you okay?" he asked Bakugo, and Bakugo looked up at him, thinking to himself, "What the fuck? What is this thing?" But seeing as how it saved him, he said, "I didn't need your help, but thanks." "No problem. My name is Izuku Midoriya." And he put his hand out. As Bakugo grabbed it, he felt the heat, wincing, but pushed through the pain. And Deku pulled him up. Izuku pulled him up. And as he brushed Bakugo off, the villains went towards him, his optics returning to blue. And as he quickly looked around, he saw that the heroes were coming at him, going to ask him why he rushed in like that, and what his quirk is. Izuku looked up, jumping, going so high that it seemed as though he was just a speck in the sky. Nothing but a green flash remaining in the clouds. And he then went, using a burst of strength, to propel himself towards home with his books in hand. And as he went home, Takashi was waiting outside for him. "Izuku, are you okay, my boy?" "Yes, father, I'm fine. Just heated up my hand a bit, but it'll cool down." "Good, but please be careful. That was very, very risky. We don't know your capabilities yet." "Father, it seemed as though a railgun came out of my arm. Is that a part of my weapon systems?" And weird words appeared in my head, saying Protocol 2, protect. Is that part of my programming? Takashi looked at him, sighing. "Yeah, it is. I programmed you with the heart of a lion, but I never thought that the day would come to where you would actually help someone. I'm proud of you, Izuku. Very, very proud. I think you should really think about putting in an application to UA. And Izuku was taken aback. To UA? The hero school? Really? Yeah, I think you deserve it. You're a very talented boy, Izuku. Very, very talented. You have such a kind heart. Alright, father. I promise you. I'll put it in an application. And that's when Deku studied even further. He thought to himself, UA? Hero Academy? I can't believe father would suggest such a thing. And he continued to think. Well, process, not really think. As machines can't think, can't they? They can only process things, as he thought. He's not human, he said to himself. How would people react? That Bakugo guy was, kind to me, but I'm not sure if others will either. And he did put in an application, but it did take a while before they sent the test to him via email. And Deku walked throughout the park one day, doing it in his hut. And he got pretty much every question right, as they mentioned. And when he went to UA, he didn't trip this time. But he did manage to save Uraraka when she tripped on a brick, and he caught her. Are you alright? He asked her. Oh, yeah. Thank you. What's your name? I am Izuku Midoriya. What is your name? And Osako saw that he had mechanic eyes and a mechanic body. His skin didn't feel like skin. It felt like metal. But she said, my name is Osako Uraraka. Nice to meet you. It is nice to meet you too, Uraraka. I call you Uraraka? Yeah, you could call me Uraraka. Yeah, please do, she said to him. And he helped her back onto her feet, dusting her off. Please be careful. And he then walked into UA, sitting down at the very back, taking in all the information as President Mike spoke. And when Ida stood up, Izuku did as well. Please do not say such things to President Mike. He is attempting to do the best he can for all of you. He is attempting to explain things to the best of his capabilities. Do not scold him for such things. And Ida was taken aback, immediately sitting down, knowing that Izuku was right. And he said, my apologies. Please keep going, President Mike. And he sat back down. And President Mike said, thank you. Thank you. And he then continued to explain what was going on. Explain everything that was going to be happening during the entrance exam, including all the other robot that wasn't mentioned. And said that it may not show up. It may. That's why he didn't really mention it. There wouldn't be any point in. And Ida later apologized to President Mike, but also apologized for Deku for doing such a thing to another person. And Deku said, no, it's okay. Just don't do it to other people when they're talking. It's rather rude. And Ida bowed to him. Thank you for accepting my apology. No worries. Now don't worry, Ida. Please, go get ready. We'll need it for the entrance exam. And Ida did as Izuku suggested. Going to get ready for the entrance exam. The biggest part of getting into UA. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this one. See you later.